The ultimate excellence lies not in winning every battle, but in defeating the enemy without ever fighting. Sun Tzu, you have been living a lie about power. The lie that strength is proven through pursuit. The lie that love is earned through desperation. The lie that your worth increases with the intensity of your need. These deceptions have hollowed you out, made you reactive, turned you into a shadow dancing to rhythms set by those who should be dancing to yours. Your weakness began when you accepted that her withdrawal was your emergency. When she stepped back, you lunged forward. When she grew cold, you burned hotter. When she tested your resolve by withholding what you craved, you failed by proving you could not survive without it. Every reaction was a surrender of sovereignty. Every pursuit was a declaration that your happiness lived in her hands. The chaos you feel when someone pulls away is not love, it is withdrawal. The anxiety that floods your system when messages go unanswered is not devotion, it is addiction. You have confused attachment with affection, need with love, desperation with dedication. This confusion has kept you small, reactive, forever at the mercy of another's whims. Look at how you move when someone you want begins to drift. Sleep fractures. Thoughts circle endlessly. Every notification carries hope or dread. You analyze words for hidden meanings, study faces for microscopic changes, measure your worth by response times to messages you should never have sent. This is not the behavior of a powerful man. This is the behavior of a slave. The guilt that consumes you comes from believing you have committed some crime when others lose interest. You search your memory like a detective, looking for the moment you failed, the word that caused their retreat. But their withdrawal is not about your inadequacy, it is about their testing. They pull back to see if you will chase. They grow cold to see if you will burn. They create distance to see if you will collapse it. Every test you fail makes you smaller in their eyes. Every time you react to silence with noise, you prove you can be controlled. Every time you respond to absence with frantic presence, you demonstrate they hold power over your emotional state. They are not looking for proof of devotion, they are looking for proof of strength. Strength is never measured by how much you pursue, but by how little you need to. The shame that floods through you when you realize you have been chasing shadows is the beginning of wisdom. You feel ashamed because you recognize a truth that cuts deep. You have been playing a game where the only way to win was not to play. You have been fighting battles where victory required walking away. You have been proving your worth to people who were testing whether you knew your own value. Discipline is not suppressing emotions, it is mastering responses to them. You can feel the pull to reach out, the urge to explain, the desire to fix what seems broken. But feeling impulses and acting on them are different choices. The disciplined man feels deeply but acts deliberately. He experiences emotion but remains unenslaved by it. Comfort has become your enemy because you have mistaken it for peace. You seek the comfort of knowing where you stand, of having messages answered promptly, of being wanted and pursued and validated. But this comfort extracts a price, your power. When you need comfort from others, you grant them the ability to create discomfort. When you require their reassurance, you hand them the weapon of your insecurity. True power is not making others chase you, it is remaining unmoved whether they chase or flee. It is not provoking reactions, it is existing without requiring any reaction at all. Power is not domination over others, it is sovereignty over yourself. When you no longer need their attention to feel whole, their attention becomes meaningless. Sun Tzu understood that supreme victory comes not from winning battles, but from achieving objectives without fighting. When you stop fighting for someone's attention, when you cease trying to win someone back, when you stop proving your worth to those who question it, you achieve something greater than victory, you achieve irrelevance to their games. The solitude you fear is the foundation of your strength. In quiet moments when no one is texting, pursuing, validating your existence, you discover what you are made of. Most men cannot bear this silence because they have never learned to be comfortable with themselves. They fill every void with noise, every pause with distraction, every moment of stillness with frantic movement. You walk alone not because you are unwanted, but because you have learned your path is yours to determine. Others may join for portions of the journey, but their presence or absence cannot change your destination. When you stop looking to others to validate your direction, you begin trusting your own compass. When you stop needing companions to feel confident about your choices, you become the kind of man others naturally want to follow. The responsibility you carry is not for their emotions, decisions, reactions to your choices. Your responsibility is singular and absolute. Become the man you respect when you look in the mirror. Every moment spent managing someone else's feelings is energy stolen from your development. Every thought given to their opinion of you is attention diverted from developing your own opinion of yourself. Lao Tzu taught that the sage does not attempt anything very big and thus achieves greatness. The same principle applies to emotional mastery. You do not achieve power over others through grand gestures, dramatic declarations, or forceful pursuits. You achieve it through countless small choices to remain centered when others try to shake you, to stay silent when others bait you to speak, to walk away when others expect you to chase. The attention you once craved becomes irrelevant when you develop the capacity to give yourself everything you were seeking from others. Validation becomes unnecessary when you learn to validate yourself. Approval becomes meaningless when you learn to approve of your own choices. Love becomes abundant when you learn to love your own company and the man you are becoming. This transformation is not immediately visible to others. They still expect the old patterns, the familiar reactions, the predictable responses to their tests. When she pulls back, she expects you to lean forward. When she grows distant, she expects you to draw closer. When she tests your resolve, she expects you to demonstrate your neediness. But when none of these expectations are met, when you remain unmoved by what once moved you completely, profound confusion sets in. Confusion in others is confirmation of your growth. When they cannot predict your responses, when they cannot manipulate your emotions, when they cannot get the reactions they have come to expect, they begin to see you differently. Not as someone to be taken for granted, but as someone to be considered carefully. Not as someone who will always be available, but as someone whose attention must be earned. The silence that once terrified you becomes your most powerful tool. Not silence as punishment or manipulation, but silence as sovereignty. You speak when you have something worth saying. You respond when response serves your purpose. You engage when engagement adds value to your life. Everything else receives the gift of your absence. Marcus Aurelius knew that very little is needed for happiness. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. The happiness you sought in their messages, attention, presence, all of it was always available within you. You simply had not learned to access it. When you stop looking outward for what can only be found inward, you discover resources you never knew you possessed. The games others play require your participation to succeed. When someone tries to make you jealous, they need your jealousy to feel powerful. When someone attempts to make you chase, they need your pursuit to feel valuable. When someone seeks to control you through withdrawal, they need your reaction to maintain control. Your refusal to play breaks the game entirely. Nietzsche understood that one must have chaos within oneself to give birth to a dancing star. The chaos you feel when others test you. When they pull away, when they force you to choose between your dignity and your desire, this chaos is not your enemy. It is the forge in which your character is shaped. Every time you choose dignity over desperation, you become stronger. Every time you choose silence over pleading, you become more powerful. The patterns you recognize in others reveal more about you than them. When you see clearly how they test, withdraw, create distance to measure your pursuit, you understand the game played with you. This understanding brings choice: continue playing by their rules or create your own. The powerful man always chooses the latter. Your energy is finite and precious. Every moment analyzing their silence is energy not invested in growth. Every thought given to their motivations is attention stolen from your goals. Every emotion spent on their games is power drained from your development. When you guard your energy as jealously as you once guarded their attention, everything changes. The respect you command equals the respect you show yourself. When you chase those who pull away, you demonstrate you value them more than yourself. When you pursue those who ignore you, you prove their attention matters more than your dignity. When you beg for crumbs from those who could offer abundance, you reveal you believe crumbs are all you deserve. But when you stop chasing, pursuing, begging, something remarkable happens. Not immediately, not dramatically, but gradually and inevitably. Those who took your attention for granted begin valuing it. Those who ignored your presence begin noticing your absence. Those who tested your limits begin respecting your boundaries. This is not manipulation, this is natural law. People value what they cannot easily obtain. They respect what they cannot control. They desire what they cannot predict. When you become unpredictable through genuine self-possession rather than calculated games, you develop irresistible gravity that pulls others toward you without effort. The transformation is internal before external. First, you stop needing their validation to feel worthy. Then, you stop seeking their attention to feel seen. Finally, you stop requiring their presence to feel complete. This progression from dependence to independence to true interdependence is the path every powerful man must walk. The lessons come disguised as losses. Every person who walks away teaches you something about yourself. Every relationship that ends reveals patterns you need to break. Every rejection shows you where you have been seeking externally what can only be found internally. When you see these experiences as education rather than failure, you welcome them rather than fear them. The strength you develop through trials is not brittle like pride or fragile like ego. It is flexible like bamboo, able to bend without breaking, to adapt without compromising core principles. This strength does not need to prove itself through dominance or demonstrate itself through force. It simply exists, quiet and unshakable, visible to those with eyes to see. The solitude that once felt like punishment becomes sanctuary. In quiet spaces between relationships, pursuits, external validations, you discover the richness of your own company. You learn to enjoy your thoughts, appreciate your perspective, value your judgment. This internal wealth makes external poverty impossible. The fear of being alone that once drove you to chase wrong people, accept poor treatment, compromise standards, this fear dissolves when you learn that alone and lonely are different states. Alone is circumstance. Lonely is choice. When you learn to be complete within yourself, you can be alone without being lonely, independent without being isolated. The cycles of pursuit and withdrawal that once controlled your emotional state become visible as patterns. She pulls back, expecting you to chase. You remain still. She tests your resolve, expecting you to break. You stay centered. She creates drama, expecting you to engage. You stay focused on your own path. Each time you refuse to play the expected role, you become more unpredictable and therefore more powerful. The victory is not winning them back. It is no longer needing to. The triumph is not making them chase you, it is being complete whether they chase or flee. The success is not controlling their behavior, it is mastering your responses. When you understand this distinction, you graduate from playing their games to creating your own reality. The man you are becoming will not recognize the man you are now. He will see clearly what you currently see through the fog of need and reaction. He will move with purpose where you now drift with uncertainty. He will command respect where you now beg for approval. He will create attraction where you now chase attention. This transformation is not automatic. It is earned through daily choices to act from strength rather than weakness. Your past attempts at connection through pursuit have taught you valuable lessons about what does not work. Every time you chased and lost, every time you pursued and were rejected, every time you proved yourself to someone unworthy of the proof, these experiences were not failures but education. They showed you the futility of seeking validation from those incapable of giving it. The shift from external to internal validation is the most important transition you will ever make. For most of your life, you have been trained to look outward for confirmation of your worth. But when your sense of worth depends on others' reflection, you become vulnerable to every shift in their attention. Internal validation operates by different rules. It is not subject to the whims of others. When you learn to validate yourself, you become unshakable. Your availability was common. Your attention was freely given. Your validation was easily earned. These qualities, while admirable in moderation, became liabilities when offered without discrimination. By making yourself scarce, making your attention valuable, making your approval something to be earned rather than expected, you transform from common to rare, from dismissed to desired. The process of becoming rare requires strategic withdrawal from the marketplace of constant availability. You must learn to say no more often than yes. You must learn to be busy with your own pursuits when others expect you to be available for theirs. You must learn to value your own time so highly that others begin to value it as well. The boundaries you set will be tested immediately and consistently. Those who benefited from your previous lack of boundaries will not welcome new limitations. They will push against them, try to negotiate around them, attempt to guilt you into abandoning them. Your consistency in maintaining boundaries despite pressure establishes credibility. Every time you hold firm, you strengthen not only the boundary but your own resolve. The confidence that emerges from evidence-based identity is qualitatively different from confidence built on others' opinions or external circumstances. Cannot be shaken by criticism because it is not dependent on approval. Cannot be diminished by failure because it is based on character rather than outcomes. It cannot be stolen by others because it exists independently of their recognition. Being yourself becomes possible only when you stop trying to be what others want. The energy once spent monitoring reactions, adjusting behavior to preferences, performing versions designed to please, all becomes available for actual self-development. You discover interests you never knew you had, develop dormant talents, explore aspects hidden behind people-pleasing masks. The right people appreciate authenticity over performance, substance over flash, character over charisma. They are drawn to your genuineness because they value it in themselves. They respect your boundaries because they have their own. They admire your independence because they are independent themselves. These are people worth connecting with, knowing, keeping in your life. The wrong people reveal themselves quickly when you stop performing for approval. They become frustrated when games don't work. They grow angry when tests fail. They lose interest when you stop providing drama they crave. Their departure is not loss, it is liberation. Every wrong person who leaves makes space for the right person to enter. Epictetus taught that you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. The circumstances of your life, who stays, goes, approves, rejects. These are outside events over which you have no direct control. But your response to circumstances, your interpretation of events, your choice of how to proceed, this is where your power lies. The heartbreak you have experienced is not evidence of inadequacy, but proof of your capacity to feel deeply. The rejection you have faced is not confirmation of unworthiness, but demonstration of your willingness to take risks. The pain you have endured is not punishment for failures, but preparation for victories. When you learn to reframe these experiences, you transform from victim to student. Every painful experience carries seeds of wisdom. Every failure contains lessons success cannot teach. Every loss reveals strengths you did not know you possessed. But these gifts are not automatically received. They must be actively extracted through reflection, analysis, and willingness to see truth even when uncomfortable. The process requires brutal honesty about your role in creating circumstances that hurt you. Not self-blame or self-punishment, but responsibility for parts within your control so you can make different choices. Perhaps you were too available, eager to please, willing to sacrifice your needs for someone else's comfort. Perhaps you ignored red flags because you were desperate to be loved. The man who learns from mistakes becomes stronger. The man who refuses to examine his role in suffering remains vulnerable to repeating patterns. Growth requires courage to look honestly at your behavior, acknowledge where you went wrong, and commit to doing better next time. The ultimate goal is not invulnerability. That is neither possible nor desirable. The goal is becoming anti-fragile, growing stronger under stress rather than weaker. When you achieve this state, challenges become opportunities, obstacles become training, pain becomes fuel for transformation. This is your choice and yours alone. You can continue living at the mercy of others' moods, opinions, decisions. You can keep playing games where the only way to win is caring less than the other person. You can remain trapped in cycles of pursuit and withdrawal that leave you exhausted and empty. Or you can choose something different. You can choose to become the man who walks away from anything requiring him to be less than he is. You can choose to become untouchable. The time for explanation is over. The time for justification has passed. The time for seeking permission to value yourself has ended. The time to become the man who needs no permission has begun.